Thank you so much for joining me today, Jeanine. It is just a pleasure to have you here. Unfortunately, ladies, we were trying to do this live and we weren't able to, so we are going to record it and then put it on the Sisterhood site. So thank you once again. Jeanine is joining us from Paris. It was such a pleasure to have you join us here. And I'm just going to do a little quick introduction. Jeanine is the founder for life for EFT Academy. She is the creator of the art of authentic feminine success with EFT. She enjoys her practice as a global EFT trainer and mentor. She is a feminine success mentor, and she is a published EFT author. And she is my teacher. I had taken levels 1, 2, and 3 of EFT training with Jeanine. And if it's okay, Jeanine, if I can just share a little bit of my experience when I first came into EFT.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
So my first experience was actually with a naturopath, Christine Perkins, and I was going through a divorce at that time, and I was just feeling so overwhelmed. And she had suggested EFT, and I can't tell you how relieved, how much lighter. I just knew that I was going to be okay after I left that. I could not believe how much lighter I had felt. And then soon after that, I quickly enrolled in your classes. And I just tried, back then you were doing some different classes, and I just tried to do everyone that I could be part of. And I can tell you that I would not be in this chair today. And I know that you probably wouldn't be where you are today had we not found EFT. And it has been instrumental for moving out of my comfort zone and for definitely clearing old baggage and grief and emotions. And as an emotional person, it has been such a wonderful tool to have to deal with emotions.
Yes, yeah, indeed. Yeah, I remember you when you were in our class. Yes, for sure. Yes,
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I think that was probably 10, 11 years ago now.
yes, for sure. At least 10 years or more, for
Yes,
sure.
yes.
Yes.
And so can you tell me a little bit on how you found it, how you were able to, or what made you get into EFT?
Yes, I would be happy to. Well, at the time, this was 2001,
Mm-hmm.
that I met and I found EFT in 2001. And at that time, I had a successful coaching business.
Yes.
And my mentor, she had an interview. She interviewed Gary Craig at the time for her show, for her radio show. And that's how I got to learn to know that EFT existed and that Gary Craig existed. And I was fascinated. We did do some practice on the audio call because at that time it was still over the phone
Right.
only.
Yes.
And it worked so amazing. And I thought, oh, if it works so well, I was curious. And I said, I'm going to try to implement this with my coaching clients. And surely enough, for their emotional blockages for performance and fears, and I helped them, and it worked so very well with the limited experience that I had at the time. Even then, it worked very well.
Yes.
And then I decided to sign up for all the live trainings from Gary Craig, because at that time he still did the training himself. That's how long I am doing this
Mm-hmm.
already.
Yes.
And, uh, and therefore I had the privilege to learn from the master himself, from
Mm-hmm.
the founder and the creator of EFT.
Yes.
And I must tell you, there is nothing like it to be in the room with him, to learn and all the intricate details and all the fine tunements about it, and to learn really the art and go deep into EFT.
Yes.
Because that's also what I want to say to everyone, that we actually owe a world of gratitude to Gary Craig.
Mhm.
Because if it wouldn't be for him, indeed, as you said earlier, we wouldn't be here today together, and your wonderful audience wouldn't get a chance to learn this easy to learn technique, easy to do technique. It has no side effects and it has long lasting results.
Yeah.
What else would we want, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yes, exactly. I'm happy to see it getting more and more acclamation. I'm starting to go into trauma and PTSD, and I'm noticing that these medical doctors are giving it credit, which is so wonderful. And
yes,
I honestly see it working very similar to EMDR, which also
yes.
gets lots of accreditation.
Yes, I agree with you. You know what Gary Craig says about EMDR? And
But
I have borrowed this comparison with him.
yes,
They both work really well, EMDR
yes,
and EFT.
yes,
The only difference between the both of them is that in terms of speed and
yes,
effectiveness,
yes.
that EMDR is a tricycle and EFT is a jet plane.
Ah,
That's
interesting.
that's the difference,
Yeah.
but they both work. It
Yeah.
just depends if
Yes.
you want fast or not, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's how Gary Craig at the time already
Yes.
made a comparison. So
Right.
that's maybe a helpful tip also for
Absolutely.
your audience.
Absolutely. And
Ah.
I'm excited to even sort of moving forward, because I think with COVID, we've seen a lot of people struggling. And so I think this is just going to be a tool that perhaps more and more people will find. And thank goodness, because it's going to be needed even more. So,
Oh, yes, I agree. Like people also for fear,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like there is so much fear.
Yeah.
And remember with neuroscience, I have learned so much. I take always the latest courses on neuroscience.
Yes.
And you probably know this too. When we are emotional and for example, we are overwhelmed with fear,
Yeah.
guess what? Then our logical brain shuts down
Mhm.
and we can't think logically and rationally anymore. None of us, including me, right? I'm no
Mhm.
different.
Yes.
And you know what else happens then?
Mhm.
When our brain shuts down because we're overwhelmed with the chemicals of emotions, because emotions are also chemicals in some way,
Yes.
then what happens then? Research has shown that we, all of us, regress back to an earlier stage in our life emotionally when we first felt the same or similar feeling of fear or panic or stress.
Mhm.
And usually for all of us, that is earlier than the age of 6 years old, that earlier than that.
Right.
And guess what? Now we're adults in a complicated world with so many layers.
Yeah.
Can you see when we are temporarily having only access to the mental faculties of a 6-year-old girl
Mm.
who has to manage these complex adult situations, how we just go in panic and freeze
Mm.
and can't deal with it anymore.
Mm.
And that's for all of us. And that's now with COVID and all these things and all the fear that's out there.
Mm.
If we have a technique, sorry, that we can self-soothe
Yes.
and self-calm
Yeah.
ourselves, can you imagine what a gift that is to people, right?
Yeah.
Especially to us as women, because everything comes down to us as women. The buck stops with us, right?
Yes,
So,
that's so true. That's what I think I love about EFT. And you know what? Really, truly, I think that's why I went to EFT was because you learn how to do it. Of course, a practitioner, you can get into the deep stuff, but a lot of your stress, you can actually do the tapping yourself. And that is what really sold me on EFT, because
yes.
therapy can be costly. And for some people, they're not able to do that as much as they would like to. So this gives that tool. And I just love that part to it.
Yes, yes, because that's the beauty of it. You're absolutely right.
Yes.
It's also part of when that you can have people be independent once they get the hang
Yes.
of it and
Yes.
they release their major issues, or they
Yes.
don't have major issues, they
Yes.
just need it for daily self-care.
Yes.
It's such a wonderful emotional self-care tool that
Right.
do independently, privately, because
Yeah.
guess what? We all have our fingertips with us, we
Yeah.
all have our bodies with us, and
Yeah.
we all have problems with us.
Oh, well, that's
So we
right.
have everything we need. We don't need
Yeah.
anybody else, right?
Well, that's right. And I think, so many of us are maybe expanding or broadening the comfort zone. And that's where it's so nice to come in place as well. Because it's just normal, I think, for the body to resist change.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the body wants to keep us safe,
Yes.
and the body loves familiarity,
Yes.
and the body loves the known
Yes.
and unknown. And that's why every one of us is resistant against change. We have all kind of a fear or resistance
Yes.
against change,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
I agree. Yeah.
Yes. So we've brushed on EFT on how it works. Do you think it needs a little bit more description on how it works, or um
Yes, I would be happy to explain it a little bit.
yes.
However, I would just let you know already
Yes.
that I actually have prepared a gift for your audience. And
Yes.
in that gift,
Yes.
I have included, especially for your audience, the original manual for EFT from Gary Craig,
Lovely.
so that people can actually, when they go through it, and it's
Yes.
not hard and not difficult,
Yes.
that they can already teach and self-teach the basics of EFT for themselves
Yes.
and know what it is and how to do it. So
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Jeanine. Thank you.
my pleasure. And also in the gift, they will see also there will be live sessions in on video.
Yes.
There is one for resistance against exercise, one for releasing money blocks,
Oh,
and one for craving, for food cravings. How
oh, lovely.
for it.
Lo-
And so that's like a real package. And at the end, to top it up, your audience could do a happiness assessment
oh,
for themselves. So it's like a little self-care kit. And therefore, so having said that, the basic definition of EFT is that EFT is actually an emotional form of acupuncture. We don't use needles,
mhm.
and instead we use our fingertips to tap on various meridians of the body while we're mentally tuned into specific events, situations, or sometimes a whole experience while we're tapping so that we can release the intensity in our body. And EFT works on a subconscious level. It bypasses literally the conscious mind. And I always do like this because the conscious mind actually, as you know, only influences 10% of our daily life experiences. And for the rest, everything for all of us, including me, as 90% of our daily life experiences is influenced by the programming in our subconscious.
Mhm.
It's like we're just automated replication machines who are
Yes.
walking around
Yes.
and spitting out these automated programming.
Yes.
And therefore, but EFT, there is good news, and that is EFT allows us to bypass the conscious mind, go and access the subconscious mind through the tapping, and clears old unwanted programming of any kind out of our system. And then there is a second aspect to EFT, which I think is very exciting. Step two is to replace into this open space with self-chosen thoughts and beliefs and desires and dreams, whatever you can imagine, to tap it into our system. So step one is clearing it. It's like the delete button on our computer,
Yes.
take things away. And then step two is bringing in new programming of our own choice, that we get to have the power to program our own subconscious mind the way we want it, the way we choose it. And that's what I like the most, of course.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
It's so fantastic. It really is, because here is an opportunity. I think what we're really finding is how malleable the brain is. That you
Yeah.
don't have to be stuck with these phobias, these fears, these limiting beliefs. They can be shifted and changed, and I just love that.
Yes, yes, for sure. And the success rate, like you say, for fears and phobias is unbelievably high,
Yeah.
or for me, very believably high, because officially on my website and in all my sharing, I say my official success rate is 90%
Yes.
or more. But in reality, actually, my success rate is close to 100% with
Yes.
EFT.
Yes.
But I tone it down
Yes.
a little bit because it's a little bit too good to be true for most people. And therefore, I say on the official, it's 90%,
Yes.
because you never know, maybe
Yes.
one day, one time, there
Yes.
might be somebody that I am not able to help. That's
Yeah.
always possible, right?
Yeah.
So
I,
therefore, fears and phobias, it's really, really
effective.
very effective to give hope to people, to your
Yeah.
audience.
Absolutely. And what I love about EFT is its ability to heal physically as well. I love how EFT really is so broad in what it can do.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I have found, and you're right about that. EFT is actually one technique. The basic is one technique, and it's always the same technique.
Yes.
However, for every specific issue, there are unique approaches.
Yes.
And that's what makes it so successful. Like at this point in time, I have developed about 200 different approaches
Yes.
for all various
Yes.
issues on how to go about it to have maximum results,
Yes.
even though it's just one little
Yes.
simple technique,
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly. Yes. I remember having a class and having a student in, and she had pain in her shoulder, and it was about a level 9. And in that 5 minutes went down to a 0. Now, sometimes it takes more than that, but it was just so lovely to see how sometimes you can just see this beautiful technique be so powerful in such different ways and in such different elements. It's so
Yeah,
lovely. Yeah.
yeah. Because in the example that you say, when it goes away in a couple of minutes,
Yes.
that means there are no underlying issues
Yes.
why the person has this pain.
Yes. Yes.
So, and then it can go away in 5 or 10 minutes, indeed.
Yes.
And if there are underlying issues, then sometimes we need to do a little research and a
Yes.
little detective work, as you
Yes.
probably also have experienced.
Yes.
Then we need to go underneath
Yes.
and look for the root cause and
Right.
bring that up and tap for that. And
Yes.
then everything goes away permanently,
Yeah.
because that's also a thing that is good that we could share with your audience, that once something is released on a cellular subconscious level, it's completely released,
Yes.
it never comes back.
Yes.
Even if we would try to have it come back, it
Yes.
doesn't come back,
No.
right?
No,
So
that's right.
it's gone permanently. And that's the beauty of it, right?
It really is. It really is. And it's really all encompassing, almost like your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, and your spiritual body.
Mhm.
It encompasses all of that, is doesn't it? Or
Yeah.
it can, or it can.
Yeah. Depending, you're so right about that. It's depending how far does the person wants to go down the rabbit hole.
That's right. That's right.
Or I always ask my clients, some clients say, well, I actually have released this and that and that. What else could we do? And then I say, well, how much happiness do you want in your life? How much health, how much well-being do you want?
Yeah.
And because, and then I always explain this little visual, this little comparison. Then I say, and I'm sure you know people like that too. Imagine here is a hot stove, right?
Yes.
Being the source of pain.
Yes.
And some people, they say, there is a hot stove and I have pain and I want to get rid of the pain.
Yes.
Please help me to get rid of the pain. So, okay,
Yes.
we tap and they're moving away from the pain is neutralized, the pain is gone. And some people are good, think it's good enough and decide for themselves, moving away from the pain. That's all what I want.
Right.
However, there is another aspect, and that is moving towards creating the life that we really want
Yes.
and getting everything as much as we want, and much health, relationships, happiness, well being. So, but that is our own personal free choice.
Yes.
Some of our clients, you probably have
Hmm.
experienced that too, just want to move away from the pain.
Yes.
That's good enough. And
Yes.
if it's good enough for them, it's
Yeah.
good enough for me. Who
Right.
am I to tell anyone, well, guess what? You should
Yeah.
be all the way over there in
Yes.
Nirvana, so to
Right.
speak.
It's not for us. It's not for us to decide. It's for them. Yeah.
Free choice. We
Yes.
all have free choice,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So therefore, that I say, how far do you want to go,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And that's also why I developed over the years these courses about the art of authentic feminine success with EFT,
Yes.
right? That is going towards everything that we want as a
Yes.
woman and
Yes.
give ourselves permission for that. Right?
Yes. Which is
Yeah.
fantastic, and I suppose that's even another element that we haven't really talked about is manifesting the life that you want. You can use this to really um manifest, the life that you're wanting.
Yes, clearing away all the blocks in the creation process.
Right.
Like, am I good enough? Do I
Yeah.
deserve this?
Yes.
Good things are possible for other people, but are they actually possible for me?
Yes.
And also for us as women, I am already way much older than you and most of your audience probably. But when I came up in the ladder of success, so to speak, there were no female role models to show and be a role model how to obtain success in a feminine way.
Yes.
We try to copy the masculine model
Right.
because that's nothing else. And therefore, we try to be the best man that we could be in our female body. And
Yeah.
guess, we all blew our our
Yes.
adrenal
Yes.
and burnout because we don't have as much testosterone as a man.
Yeah.
So we can't go.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to work smarter instead harder.
Yes.
And instead of taking massive action,
Hmm.
taking inspired action, meaning action inspired by spirit,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so, therefore, that's our authentic way.
Yeah.
And if we embody that, then we are way much more powerful than any man because we are women
Yeah.
and we don't need to compete with men. It's like we can be complementary and let the man be in his empowered masculine and us being in our empowered feminine, and then come together as two whole beings and create a third entity basically of a reunion, right? A union of
Yeah.
the masculine and the feminine. Yeah.
Well, I love that. And I think what that says is that when you're really connected to your higher self or your connection, you're not spinning the wheel on you're not wasting as much energy. You know where to go, you know where to spend it. And like you said, you're not blowing out your adrenals. You're able to have that balance of work and play and to be able to do it. I'm still learning that.
We all do that. We all do. We have to figure it out because
Yeah.
we are most likely the first generation who
Yes.
is giving herself permission
Yes.
to really be successful in a feminine way.
Yes.
And our key is self-care and self-love. And that's
Exactly.
why it's so amazing, the group that you have. I looked in it a little bit, that
Awesome.
it's so amazing what you're doing and that you give a platform and that you give women the opportunity to come together with you and to give them permission to be women and to be feminine,
Hmm.
and that feminine is really strong but in a different way than man.
Yes.
And that is one of the beautiful things that you are doing for
Oh,
your audience, right?
thank you. Thank you. It's all steps, isn't it? It's all everyone, we're all taking steps and I'm taking steps and I certainly I think because of the way that I grew up, having a mom that mostly stayed at home and having my dad as the breadwinner, I did have to tap of being a successful woman, of being a welcoming money, and I could see that I felt that I needed to have a man financially for that financial support. And so that took a few years to kind of really kind of come into it. And it's lovely. It's lovely when you're in that space of, yes, I would still love to have a partnership, but it's not for the need of financial security. And it was the EFT and maybe a little bit of Reiki that helped me shift into that space. It did. It took a little bit of time. And it makes sense. I mean, that's how we grew up. That's what we saw. And so it's a shift. It's a shift that we're all taking, really, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, you're so right about that because also now men, their natural way of being in the world is competition. Men love challenges and competitions,
Yeah.
and men love problems. They love the challenge of problems and they love solving problems and providing solutions.
Right.
But we as women, we don't like problems. We just want problems to go away.
Yes.
We
Yes.
don't like that.
Yeah.
So instead of having using the model of competition, actually for us as the more spiritually evolved women,
Mhm.
the road for us is
Yes.
cooperation instead of competition.
Yes.
Because in the past, women used to
Mhm.
compete,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
that,
Yes.
because that was what men did. Men were competing, but
Right.
that's healthy for their psyche.
Yes.
But for us, it's very destructive
Yes.
to compete.
Yeah.
And therefore, if we come together as women like you in your platform and support each other and cooperate together,
Mhm.
then there is no way of knowing how far and as high and
Yeah.
as broad we
Yeah.
can go and how much power we can have
Yes.
as a community when
Yeah.
we collaborate.
Yes. I love that. You know, I sort of see this person on top of a mountain in the masculine way. You know, there's one person that made it to the top, whereas in the feminine side, there's a group, and I just see everybody helping each other bring them to the top, and I just think that's a lovely visual. It's a lovely place to be. There's enough work for everyone, really, truly.
Yes, there is
Yeah,
abundance in that too. There is more
absolutely.
than enough for everyone.
Yes.
No scarcity in anything
Yeah.
except in our mindset.
Yes, exactly. And
Mhm.
I have a feeling some people are born with that competitive nature. They're just naturally born that way. So it might be for some people just hard to um, think in a collaborative, the word's not coming to me, collaborative way, rather than be competitive. I mean, some people are just born natural competitors, but I still think that it can be shifted in the mind.
Yes, and also that's okay. If some women really love to stay in the competitive mode,
Yes,
that's okay too.
yes,
Not everyone needs to do it all or be it all or have this specific expression. It's
yes,
again, like I said earlier,
yeah,
how far do we want to go down the rabbit hole? How
yes,
much do we feel we want
yes,
in
yes,
terms of our self-expression?
yes,
We all have a different life purpose and we all have a different way how to go about it,
yes,
allowing the variety
yes,
of everything that gives brings also the richness
yes,
because sameness makes things small and
yes, exactly.
giving an abundance of choices and openness that brings really richness to everyone's life.
Yes,
And that
yeah,
is just a different mindset,
yes, yes,
and everyone has their preference, and
yes,
that's good. It's good
yeah.
that we don't like all the same food
Well, it's so true. Yes,
and like the same
yeah,
entertainment. It's good
yes,
variety.
it is. It makes things interesting.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yes. No,
Oh,
absolutely.
mhm.
So Jeanine, tell me where have you found that EFT has really worked for you? Where did you find that it was really needed? if you don't mind sharing.
Yes. Well, in the very beginning,
Yes.
I first cleared all my own traumas from the past, from my pre-EFT time.
Yes.
Because I was not born with a golden spoon in my
Yes.
mouth.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
also got all kinds of things. And the best way to say that is now, that's even what I say still regularly till this day. I can recognize myself in every
Yeah.
client.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is, I didn't go per se through the same story.
Mm.
However, the emotions behind it, the
Yeah.
grief, the sorrow, the
Yes.
pain, the
Yes.
sadness, the anger, the disappointment,
Yes.
all these emotions,
Yeah.
I can recognize them in all my clients in one way or another.
Yes.
And and therefore, before I fully dived into EFT working with clients, I cleared first my own issues.
Yes.
And you know why? Because if we tap with another person,
Yes.
and we have not cleared our own triggers about it,
Yes.
guess what? Then, as we tap with the other person, we get triggered, we lose our mind. Remember what I said earlier? When we get triggered, we lose
Yes.
our conscious mind.
Yes.
And then we circle together down the emotional drain.
Right.
And that is very scary for the other person.
Yes.
Therefore, when you may remember from our training from a long time ago, I always tell my clients who want to become a practitioner and that I train to become practitioner, before you work with other people, be your own best client first
Yes.
for about 6 months.
Yes.
Clear the hot issues
Yes.
in your own system first,
Yes.
because, and then some people say, yeah, but Jeanine, I will take a specialty, uh, EFT for public speaking, fear
Right.
of public speaking. That is pretty safe.
Yes.
And I say, well, on the surface, that looks very safe. However, we never know if or what is hidden underneath the
Yeah.
fear of public speaking. What was caused, the root cause.
Yeah.
And that can bring you in something
Yes.
that you don't feel comfortable with. What if it brings you into a deep abusive situation
Yeah.
that the person has experienced in intense abuse,
Yeah.
and you definitely don't want to have anything to do with abuse because you still need to tap for your own abusive situation,
Mm-hmm.
then you're in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And then you actually re-traumatize the person or traumatize them even more. And that's absolutely the last thing in the world you want to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's tip number one, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that was the one thing. And now that I am pretty much clear, and also, as you know, as we tap with our clients,
Yes.
we tap together
Yeah.
and we borrow benefits from our clients.
Yeah.
So we stay clean and clear and on top of things
Yes.
as we work with our clients.
Yes.
And at this point in my life, as you have figured out already, I am for myself using EFT to create new goals and new
Yes.
desires and to
Yes.
reach them with ease and grace.
Yes. Yes.
That, that's my
Yeah.
journey, basically.
That's
Yes.
good. That's good. Yeah. It's it's an interesting how most practitioners, of course, haven't been usually come from lots of experiences. And again, it is good because you just walk in those people's shoes, and it might not, as you say, be exactly the same, but you understand. And that just, I think, makes a practitioner more compassionate and a better one. I think it's a better gift because you just understand what they're going through, you know?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I agree. Yes, and you're so correct on that because I oftentimes say similar things that say understanding everything
Yes.
is judging nothing
Yes.
because you
Yeah.
always can feel behind,
Yes.
even if something was, so to speak, not politically correct.
Yes. Yes.
It's like, yeah, but if you step in that
Yeah.
person's shoes for a moment, then
Yeah.
you can see where they come from.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think it's important as a practitioner, the more you can come from that compassionate place, just the better it is. Those people don't want to be judged. They don't want to feel judged. Yes,
Because then they don't feel safe.
exactly. Exactly. Is there anything that you don't work on?
Sorry.
If you need to take a drink, go ahead. If you need have a little dry tickle, go ahead. Yeah.
Something that I don't want to work on with people.
Is there anything that you kind of stay away from?
Yes. And
Yes.
thank you for asking that. I have very clear boundaries.
Yes.
I don't I don't work with sociopaths, narcissists,
Mhm.
and generally energy vampires.
Right. Right.
That is a category of people that I don't work with.
Yes.
But in the other hand, I work with the victims of them.
Yes.
And
Yes.
people who have been victimized by those type of people. So that's the type of people. Then on the other hand, I don't work with very heavy mental illness.
Right. Yeah.
I stay away from that
Yes.
because some people, about 5 to 10% of the general population, sadly enough, they are so injured
Yes.
that nothing will help them.
Right.
They need really supervision and really close other kinds of help.
Yeah.
And therefore, I don't do that. Severe mental illness,
Yes.
uh, I don't go there.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
refer them to the right people.
Yes.
And that's people
Yes.
I don't work with.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's good. I think that's good to kind of know where your not boundaries, but where your where you're able to help with and where may and your limitations, I suppose. You
Yes,
know.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's basically don't go where you don't belong.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Stay in your area of expertise,
Yes.
and there I can help people very, very efficiently.
Yes.
However, there are people that are not,
Yeah.
that I am not able
Yeah.
or willing to help.
Yes.
Not a fit
Yes.
for me. Yeah,
Yes. And that's good. And it is, you're right. It's okay to have boundaries, and it's, and that's great that you have some resources to send them to as well, which is awesome.
exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yes.
So is it okay if we talk about in the class that I had with you, there was a client
Yeah.
who had, I think she had had 30 some bouts of chemotherapy, I believe. And
Yes,
she had taken EFT and she had been in remission. I believe you said her name was Barbara.
Barbara. Yes, yes.
Yes. I found that fascinating. Can you explain a little bit on how she was able to go into remission with EFT, or how that worked for
Yeah,
her?
yes, 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 yeah, yes. And I'm so happy you saw her in real life. That
Yes.
because
Yes.
her journey has been completely documented because she allowed that to be documented also.
Yes.
And so when I first met Barbara, that was in 2006,
Yes.
and then the doctors had told her that she only had 6 weeks to live.
Right.
And that was after those 30 bouts of chemo and radiation,
Yes.
and 9 surgeries. It was
Wow.
breast cancer, right? It
Yes.
was all little surgeries,
Ye-
9 of them.
Yes.
And then she came to a EFT level 1 training with her friend.
Yes.
And after that first day of EFT training, then she became my private client
Yes.
for 2 years.
Yes.
So, how we worked on that, I helped her on every aspect of the chemical, the chemotherapy, how to deal with it, the emotional reasons behind it, because it's if cancer can it's hard actually to get cancer. We actually have to work on it for between 3 to 10 years in order to be able to get cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And people usually say, what's that about? And it's about the emotional side. It's like we need to, and combined with stress, because initially cancer starts as an emotional disease,
Mm-hmm.
because cancer builds upon a fertile ground of emotional toxicity.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course all the rest comes out eventually after 3 to 10 years, depending on the kind of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore my job is why doctors, medical doctors now already for 19 years, send their patients to me. We work in tandem together. I do the emotional side and they do the physical, all their wonderful physical and
Yeah.
medical things.
Yes.
And so therefore, what we did with Barbara, we did together, is to clear all her emotional toxicity that was underneath,
Yes.
together with all the physical side effects of the chemo and the radiation and clearing toxins out of her body. And so obviously she didn't die after 6 weeks. She lived. Last time I talked to her was in 2017. So she for sure was still happy and healthy all the way. And she must be far away in her 70s now. And
Lovely.
uh, and so therefore, yes, when we clear, as you could see, and you have seen her live,
Yes.
but that didn't happen. That was not a 1 minute wonder
Yes.
clearing with EFT.
Yes.
That was for 2 years,
Right.
every week,
Yes.
intense tapping.
Yes.
She received tapping homework in between
Yes.
every session,
Yes.
and she tapped every day for a half an hour to an hour. It
Yes.
was like her new religion, so to
Yes. Yes.
speak.
Yes.
So she kept herself up to speed and in the remission
Yes.
because of that. And then eventually, after 2 years, the doctors ran all the tests again, and then she was completely cancer free. Then she had the records to prove that she went from dying in 6 weeks, two
Yes.
years prior,
Yes.
putting the records together with that she was completely cancer free. And she said that she was able to go through these very intense treatments because of the emotional support of EFT,
Right.
because otherwise she would have given up
Right.
and lost hope.
Yes.
And I want also to say now for your audience,
Yes.
I am not saying that EFT is curing cancer. I'm
Yes.
not saying that.
Yes.
I'm only saying that EFT is helping and supporting for the emotional aspect of it.
Yes.
And having said that, Barbara is one success story that you have witnessed.
Yes.
But after that, up until now, I have worked with hundreds of cancer patients.
Yes.
And up until now, none of them has died.
Ah.
None of them has relapsed.
Ah.
And why is that? Because there is no toxic fertile ground anymore
Yes.
that the cancer can redevelop itself. It's
Yes.
gone. There
Right.
is a clear slate.
Yes. Yes.
Can
So
you see how this works with neuroscience and everything together?
yes. Yes. That is the one thing that I've really come to understand working in energy is that when you clear the emotional blocks, the emotional baggage, it allows the body to be in a healthier state. And so basically the body is just able to heal itself because it now is the energy is running freely. There's no emotion, there's less emotional baggage to block it up essentially.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So that's what helps the self-healing mechanism kicks into gear because
Yes.
there is no competition anymore
Yes.
subconsciously from all this pain that people are carrying, right?
Right. Right. Oh,
And then also, of course, I always do it together with highly trained top medical doctors
yes.
because that are the doctors who have come to my training.
Yes.
And those
Lovely.
particular doctors, they send me their patients because they trust me
Yes.
and they've seen what
Yes.
experience
Yes.
what EFT can do.
Yes.
That's how I do that. Uh,
Yes. I love
always
that.
together with medical
Yes.
doctors.
I love that East meets West. I love that it can be combined. I'm glad that it doesn't have to be separate. I think really, truly that oftentimes you'll get optimum healing when you can come together like that. And I just love that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Every way of healing and every medical specialty has its time and place.
exactly.
Everything,
Yes.
all manners of healing,
Yes.
from the very traditional to the
Yeah.
very non-traditional,
Yes.
they all have value
Yes.
at the right time and at the right place with the right people.
Exactly.
So everything has value.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
No, I just love seeing that our medical system is going that way. That's awesome.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, for
cool.
sure.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, we have chatted for we've chatted for quite a bit of time here.
yeah.
I would love to hear what's in the future for you, Jeanine. Anything in the future?
I will welcome it with tapping.
Awesome.
Like I I tap into the field of possibilities.
Yes, yes,
Um, when we are in a high vibration, that's for
yeah,
all of us,
yes,
then we attract people, circumstances,
yes,
opportunities from a high emotional energy.
yes,
And if we are in the low vibration, we attract also stuff
yes,
that is not stuff that we want, right?
yes,
So therefore, I allow the universe to happily surprise and delight me.
yes,
I have learned to not set goals and
yes,
plans. Remember, that's the masculine way, and
right,
that's perfect for the for man.
yes,
But I allow
yes,
through my energy to create.
Yes.
um, organically, naturally, and through impulses
Yes.
to create my future.
Yes. Yes.
That
That sounds awesome. That sounds lovely. Yeah.
Yes, that's where I'm at this moment. And if other people do it in another way, that's perfectly
Of
okay.
course.
But
Yes.
this is just the way I do it at this stage in my life.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And so do you work full time or do you work part time? Are you traveling?
Yes, all of
Yeah.
it. I work full time.
Yes.
However,
Yes.
I've clients in 23 countries and
Yes.
I've clients all over the world. So I work
Yes.
all kinds of time zones.
Yes.
However, I work only afternoons and evenings
Lovely.
because the morning is for me,
Yes.
me, me.
Perfect.
And
Perfect.
I do a morning ritual every day of
Yes.
3 hours.
Do you? Good for
First, it's for me. 3 hours. I have not a routine. A routine is masculine. I
right.
have feminine ritual
Awesome.
of my own combination of all kinds of things that really work for me.
That's good.
And I have 3 hours to fill myself up
Yeah.
because how can I otherwise give anything to anyone else
Yes.
if I am not filled up first?
Yes.
It's very generous to be very selfish first
Yes. I
because
totally believe that
otherwise
as well.
we have nothing to give.
Yes.
And we want to give from abundance instead
Yes.
of scarcity of our energy, right? Like,
Exactly.
ah,
Exactly. That's
so
fantastic. Yes. And I love that message. And I think that message to go out to all the women is just so important, to love yourself, to take care of yourself. It's okay to say no. It's okay to have those boundaries. And really, truly, then you will have the energy, the time, and the effort to be of service. And
exactly. And it
yeah.
will go easy.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Wonderful. Well, I'm so glad to hear that things are well for you. I want to thank you so much, Jeanine, for coming on with me today. It's just been a complete joy. And again, I cannot tell you how much your training has helped me. I'm tearing up just a little bit. It was just so big, Jeanine. So thank you. Thank you for
My
your help.
pleasure,
Thank you for your
my pleasure.
teachings. And, when you think of all what bubbles out from you, because now it's bubbling from me and so on and so on and so on. It's the same as Gary Craig. It's huge and it just feels so lovely and so rewarding. And keep doing what you're doing. And I'm so happy for you that you've created a life that just fulfills you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for having me. And I want to say hello also to everyone that will see this our little chat
Yeah.
here. And please feel free to look for the link
Yes.
about the gift that I have prepared for you. And I hope with all my heart that you will enjoy it and that it may serve you and make you feel really, really good. That's my
Thank
way for everyone.
Well, and thank you so much for that gift. I think with COVID, I mean, people are just having such weight problems. So you picked the perfect gifts to give them. So thank you very much for that.
Yes,
Muchly
my
appreciated.
friend.
And I will put your information down below. So if people want to get a hold of you, I know you're busy, you have a busy practice, but I'll put the information there too. Does that sound good?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Feel free to do whatever you feels congruent with your heart.
That sounds wonderful. Awesome.
You're
Well, thank you again so much for coming on, Jeanine. I appreciate it so much. And it was
welcome.
a pleasure talking with you.
Yes, for me too. Thank
Awesome.
you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nice.
Take
Bye.
care. Now I have to make sure I do this proper.